So years ago, when I was first married, when I was first married, I made biscuits. My mom had always made, she was known as for her breads, and biscuits was just part of our life. When she ran out of bread, if she hadn't made bread or purchased bread, she would roll that baking powder biscuit out thin, fold it over, slice them, bake them, and they would be sandwiches the next day. So, or not even the next day, like that day. So baking powder biscuits were just part of our life growing up. So I get married, I make them, and my brother was visiting. He decided to come and live with us while we were in Hawaii. And I had them on the counter. I had rolled them out kind of thin, well, pretty thin, I guess, and probably baked them too long. They looked okay, they weren't burned, but he comes in and he looks at them, they're about this high, and he throws it up against the backsplash, and he's like, what are these, mortar shells? And so, obviously, they didn't compare to my mother's at that point in time, but fast forward just a few years, there was a community activity for Pioneer Day. Everybody in the community was there. I didn't know that there was going to be a baking fair / contest. So I'm like, what can I make? I gotta make something because I want that money. And so I went home and I booked up baking powder biscuits and I took first place, like without any thought or effort. So I really have improved. If you don't like them, sorry, I like them. So hopefully you'll enjoy them as much as we have over the years. So I wanted to show you, I made these this morning. Actually, the drop one I made a while back and froze. So you can freeze them. But obviously the best is when they're hot, fresh out of the oven. We tend to eat them for a couple of days, just microwave them. This is a regular biscuit. This one was coated with milk. Don't do it. I did a lot of research. If you want a baking powder biscuit, okay, let me back up. Everybody says, don't change the recipe. It's balanced, it's supposed to be that way, it's perfect. And I'm like, have you seen the 800 versions of baking powder biscuits online? Change the recipe. If you don't like something, change it. Just go ahead. So this is coated with milk. I don't like how it turned out. This is coated with egg. It's pretty, but one more step. Do I really need one more step in my life? I'm perfectly happy with the plain one. But I brought this one to show you how sometimes they'll fall, and we like it, but if that's a concern to you, you can crowd them closer and they will actually support each other as they raise and they won't topple over as much. In our family, we're like, yeah, I like that one, but if that's something. But so go ahead and pass these around. You can just kind of look at the differences.
Okay, so it says shortening or butter. So what did you use? And does it make a difference in the taste or texture?
Okay, so I am going to be honest. I tried butter in these. Years ago, I would use margarine because margarine was cheaper than butter and it was cheaper than shortening. And then I grew up a little bit more and I realized, hey, why am I eating that? That is so bad for you in every way. That's egg, 2 egg, 1 milk. Milk is with the plain one.
And then this is
yeah. So I don't eat margarine anymore at all. And so I use butter, and my opinion, Crisco looks great, although people argue that's not good for you either because it's hydrogenized fats. But butter is very expensive, so I use the shortening usually and top it with butter because it just disappears in there.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a bunch of different things tonight, and you can see how versatile the recipe is. Did you all get a copy so you know what I'm talking about? Thank you. Dale, would you mind grabbing those and passing a copy out? Oops.
that wasn't an earthquake.
It goes over there. No, it's going in the biscuit recipe. All right, so what I did, I don't measure So I had to make them and then figure out how much I actually put in. So 4 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder. If you want more baking powder, be my guest. But I reduced this recipe to 2 tablespoons, and it raises and you don't get the strong taste. If you love that strong taste, add 3. 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you can't have sugar, omit it. I like it. And if I'm making dessert, I'll add 4. If I really want, I'll add 6. But this is a good base. And then a teaspoon of salt. And I was so proud of myself today. I'm like, yep. And then okay, wait, I better make sure. And I poured in it. It was a perfect teaspoon. Okay, so half a cup of shortening. And to be honest, this is a very fine crumb. I like to add a little bit more. Just maybe a tablespoon or 2 at the most. But if you like your bread short, add more. If you like it to be a little more cakey, stick with the half.
How do you work it in? Do you work it with a pastry brush?
I'm sorry, I use my hands. I have to feel it. I want to feel. There have been times I'll work the whole thing in. I'm like, it's not enough. I can feel it. So I add a little teaspoon more, and that makes all the difference. But I know for guests, we don't do that. So I forgot to ask if we had gloves. I just assumed they'd be here, but you can wear gloves. I'm from old school. We wash our hands, we're good, right? I don't know. And then the milk, 2 cups of milk. You can use water. We're gonna have some people do water tonight. You can use evaporated milk. We're gonna have people do that. Buttermilk, and that's what I'm gonna demonstrate to you, although it's not on here, so I left a spot for you to take notes if you want to. So we'll get started. So the first thing we do is fill the sifter, and this size sifter only holds 3 cups. This is a brand new bag, so I'm just going to churn it up a little bit. Okay, so I eyeball it. I know, spread it with a knife. I get it, but this side is down, this side's up. It's even to me. I'm done.
That's how I measure.
Yes, because you don't know what the factory left in your flour. And I catch little things once in a while.
So
Not bugs, luckily. I haven't caught those for
You're
years.
sticking for safety more than fluffiness.
Correct.
Okay.
What do you find, fingernails? What do you?
I don't want to know what
Because we've probably eaten them.
All right. Probably just moisture collected on the flour. It just makes little flour rocks. Water. I don't really want that in my food, so that's pretty much. Years and years and years ago, sifted and found weevils. Okay, if you really want to, just press your hand on the side, and that's your level cup. All right, so there's 4 cups, and what I could have done was mixed all my dry ingredients and sifted it together, but I'm not. All right, so we're making the buttermilk biscuit first. So we're going to use, and you can use I equaled it out. This is what I use at home, but you can use a tablespoon. I measured it to make sure they were the same, and the way I do it, it turns out the same. So you don't quite level it out. It's kind of high. So there's 1, and there's 2, but you can use the tablespoon and.
What is that?
Baking powder.
Oh.
Yeah, don't scare me. I was like, wait, did I put soda? Better make sure. All right,
I thought
and
it was buttermilk. powder
because
or
it
something.
is buttermilk, we are going to add half a teaspoon of baking soda because that cancels out. Yeah, that will cancel out the acid in the buttermilk.
Half of what?
baking soda,
Half a teaspoon or tablespoon?
teaspoon.
Teaspoon.
So you can write that down if you need to. And then we're gonna add the sugar.
Because none of us probably can.
So I did
It's all right, I'll
some,
get them off of the-
I did a
I'll
little bit of
post it.
homework.
so-
And there are 4 tablespoons in a quarter cup of anything, right? 4
Right.
tablespoons per quarter cup. So that's how I do that.
Do you ever use cake flour in your baking powder biscuits?
I read a recipe that said that, and I thought it would be fun. I even know there are ways to make your own cake flour, so that would save the cost, but soft as silk's not cheap. So I haven't. I saved that for like really special events.
It has cornstarch in it, right?
Right, and you can make your own. There are
Mhm,
ways to do it,
recipes,
so that I think would be a fun thing to try. I just haven't. All right, so what's in here already? Flour, baking soda, baking powder,
Sugar.
red salt, red sugar. Did I forget something? No, it's on there. Okay, scared me. So measure salt. All right, so there we go. Stir that in.
How many biscuits do you really got?
12.
Oh,
Unless you
that's
make
12.
small. You can get more if you make small. All right, so that's all stirred in together. And up until, all right. So now, this is the half cup of, I remember years ago when you first taught me here, you're like, we train correct principles. And I'm thinking, I hope they don't mind. This is as correct as I get. Okay, so, I know, right? So there's 1, 2, and that's pretty close. All right, so at this point, we're just going to press it into the flour. Work it with your hands. And like I said, if I feel I need a little more, I can. This takes a few seconds because you want, all right, I know recipes say that you want to do it until it's pea-sized. Well, if you do it till it's pea-sized, you've got pea-sized lumps of shortening in your food. That's gross.
Use the fork.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
It doesn't have to actually be pea-sized, but you just have to make sure it's having a little piece.
So the whole thing, why do you think we have to get it mixed in anyways? What is the purpose of that? Anybody?
So you have layers and flakes.
Yeah.
Right,
Make it
very
flaky.
good. Because if you've ever, okay, well, what did people put wallpaper up with in their homes back in the olden days?
Flour.
Flour and water mixed together. It's not pleasant. And so the reason we want to incorporate the shortening or the butter or whichever, in fact, I was thinking you probably could even use coconut oil. I've never done it, but it's solid and it melts like Crisco does, so I bet you could.
So this one has Crisco but not butter.
Not butter on this one.
Oh.
I'm gonna let someone try it with just butter and see if they like it better, worse, different.
Because I make my buttermilk and butter.
Yeah.
Use one stick of butter.
So you can diversify in any way you feel comfortable. All right, so up until this point, there you can see how,
Here, let me. So is that a good?
that's a pretty fine crumb.
Okay.
Like I said, I like it a little more short, but for tonight's purposes, well, I actually might add a little bit more. But, so you can feel it's soft. It kind of sticks a little bit when you press hard. That shortening holds a little, but we don't really want those in our food. You can just kind of see. So it's a fine crumb. So I think I am going to add just a touch more though. Mostly because I'm nervous. And I want to make sure it's right. All right, so then after, yeah, that's a little better. I like that. Oh, I forgot to turn on the oven. It says right at the top of the page, turn on your oven.
To 425.
Yeah. And can you sit it on that one right over there? Okay, who's smarter than me? Is it on just by turning on the knob? The light's on, I can't tell if it's on.
You can make gravy.
First thing,
Oh, is this the hard one? You don't use another stove, hurry quick. All right, so I added, you saw me, I added probably just another tablespoon and it just holds a little bit better. I like that better. I feel better with that. Anybody want to see up close? That was good. Okay. All right, so shake your buttermilk.
excuse me, everything, sorry.
You're fine. And pour it in.
Lorrie, how long does the buttermilk last in the refrigerator after you open it?
I think it depends on your refrigerator.
Oh, okay. I'm afraid to open the one I have.
You know, it's
I have a handful of
buttermilk. Buttermilk is pretty yucky to begin with, so I keep it a long time. But I bought fresh for you guys.
So Rod puts vinegar in milk.
Yeah, if you don't have,
Fried
and lemon
chicken,
juice,
fried chicken.
that also works.
What?
Lemon juice.
Oh.
So
Lemon
if-
juice or vinegar to your regular milk.
All right, so once you've got the shortening in, once you add this liquid, don't overwork it. What does working flour do? Anyone?
Makes it tough.
It creates the gluten that makes yeast bread so wonderful, but it ruins your biscuits. So, if you've got a dry spot on the bottom, just pour a little more and kind of chop it into it because you don't want to work it. So that's a pretty good consistency.
Okay, show this.
Oh, show the camera.
Okay.
All right, so now I need flour. Don't want to put that on the hot stove. Set it right there. I really work better in my own kitchen. I just need this.
There's no doubt, we all do.
All right, so sprinkle a little on the counter. Kind of a little bit of a mountain there. Pour this out. All right, some recipes say to knead it 10 times, but again, I don't see the point. Oh, I do know why. It makes it prettier. Like it smooths your biscuit out. But why am I working it when my whole goal is to have a light, fluffy biscuit? I want to keep it as clean as
The other thing
possible.
I've done too is like you roll it and then you fold it and that way you get like layers.
Right.
And raisins and it's very dull.
So I sprinkle more on top. Okay, sorry, can't waste. So more on top and then just pat it down. And you're gonna kind of shape it as you're going so that the edges match the middle. So we're going for about 1/4 inch and 1/4. In fact, ta-da, that's where you want it. So I'm seeing this edge is a little uneven and this one is too, so I'm just gonna shape them until they're the way I want them. I was in a project there. All right, so here's the cookie sheet.
Do you grease your cookie sheet at all?
I do not.
Okay.
So press, shake off that extra butter. Oh, It's sticking just for you guys. Isn't that nice? Oh, embarrassing. All right, that's better.
I can't believe how little you worked it at all. You just barely worked it at all, huh?
Right.
I like the idea of not rolling it.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
These are quick and easy.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing in the cupboard, you usually have enough to make these.
True.
Okay, so see, that one's going to come out kind of weird. This one's going to be really pretty. But again, oh, and Francis wanted me to show you the drop biscuits. So if I was making drop biscuits, I would have poured in more milk and you just spoon it and drop it because he really likes the little crispy mountains on them. So there are other cookie cutters, like you can use hearts for Valentine's, and I've done flowers in the spring and shamrocks for.
And you make that hot, does it stay, keep the shape
How about
when you bake it?
It has,
It does?
yeah. I mean, it raises, and I maybe cheated a little and tucked the corner in a little more so that it would, but yeah, it looks like a heart when it's done. We should probably make one. All right, so this part, I pick it all up, gingerly, shake it, kind of toss it so those extra flour blobs fall off. And then this is my kneading moment because,
You have to put it back together.
correct. So if you're going to knead it, the second half is what I get kneaded a bit. But now it's starting to be kind of sticky in my hand. So I put it back on here.
Yeah, the consistency is totally different.
Oops, there it goes.
Where's the dog, huh?
Yeah. Should we do a heart?
So this is a dozen right there,
Yeah.
so that makes a lot.
Oh, these are maybe smaller.
I think they look huge.
The ones I made this afternoon, I only made 12. So,
Mm.
oh, and maybe it's the buttermilk. I don't know. There. So this one, that one, we're done. Somebody else can bake these others on their sheets. We probably can cut the recipe in half if you want to do it in these different stations. So that's it. That's all there is. So now, if you would like to go to the stations, we have one. Oh, let me talk a little more. So, all this icky stuff, I throw it in the bowl, throw it around, and that's how I clean the bowl. So it wipes right up that way. Instead of throwing it in the trash first, I get multiple uses out of icky flour. Oh, we're warm. Okay, ready to put it in. What else was I going to tell you? Oh yeah, what would you use biscuits for? We all know biscuits, sausage, and gravy, right?
You can pour a gravy with meat in over the top of it.
Yep, so I actually brought one tonight. Hopefully you like it. My kids complained about it the whole time it was cooking.
Because they wanted it?
Well, one
There's-
said they could smell the onion. I did put some onion in it.
And they don't like it.
And the other one is like, I just don't feel good. Not sick. I can't
Boo.
tell. Anyways, in 9 months I'll tell you. Woohoo!
Oh, I wonder what it is.
Okay, so anyways, there's a nice clean bowl, and you just wash it after that.
Oh.
Yeah, and if I don't use as much flour, actually I can get it clean to where you hardly even notice there was stuff in it, but I used all the flour, so. Dumplings, you can use this recipe for dumplings, boil them in soup. You can put your stew in the oven, and then 15 minutes before the stew's done, you can top your stew with these. And it'll rest on the stew instead of sinking because stew has more bulk to it. Peach cobblers, strawberry shortcakes.
That's when you add more sugar to it.
Correct, when you want to use it as a dessert. I had another idea, hold on, I wrote it down.
I'll just take honey on it.
Yes,
Yeah.
butter and honey, like you can't go wrong with that.
A snack, yeah.
And like I told you, my mom even used it for sandwich breads in an emergency. When you're raising lots of big boys, it fills them up. It's handy to have. Okay, so if you would like to divide to the different sections, I will roam around and help you with the different ingredients. I brought regular milk for you to use. I just wanted to say briefly, buttermilk you're going to use more because why? Why do you think you would use more buttermilk in it than regular milk? Because it's thicker. It's thicker. So it's going to require more to get a moist.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I just read a thing that said there's like 65% of people hate that word. Sorry. Milk, you're going to use a little bit less. This one, probably the 2 cups, maybe 2 and a couple tablespoons. But 2 cups should do it. Water, maybe even a teeny bit, not more, not maybe a teeny bit less, because water doesn't even have the milk density, have the same density as the whole milk. But if you want your things to taste good, put more fat in it, whole milk, lots of creamy butter, makes them taste better. Any questions? Yes.
What you just took out of your pan with the flour and everything you took out, can you add that to that lump you have on the?
I could, but it would make it tough.
It would, okay.
Okay, if I was starving, I would.
Okay.
If this, okay, these are the last days, right? But if this was like the last day, I would be like the widow who was using that last bit of oil. I would eat this because it's still okay.
Yeah.
But and there are recipes that have egg, but again, why?
No, but I mean mixed in with what you have on the counter.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
But because I'm not that hungry yet, I'd probably just throw it away.
Okay.
You can make 1 cracker.
That's right. A matzo for Jewish holiday.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, pick your poison. Who would like to try making the biscuits with evaporated milk?
Would you use the same amount or?
Just 1 can should do the job. If it's a little dry, you can add a little water because evaporated milk is what? Half the concentration of real milk. So you can add water to it and still have a good flavor. Half as much at least. But it is thicker, so it makes it a little creamier. That's actually what I used in Hawaii when I won the contest.
We'll do that.
We want to see.
I want to be a winner.
I like
And then who would like to, oh yeah, by the way, if you're going to brush the top, now would be the time. Someone want to time this for me? Timer on.
Yeah. Hey Siri, set a timer for
14 minutes.
14 minutes.
Okay.
You don't have the timer app installed.
Oh.
Well, you're rude. Okay, 14 minutes.
So how many groups are there?
Well, okay, I need someone who would like to be.
So is there 2 kitchens that are?
I have 4. We're going to do
Oh, you got
1
4
with
ready.
water.
Oh.
We're going to do 1 with water. 1 we're going to use the last of the buttermilk and maybe a little bit of the other milk because I think I used a lot. And then we're going to make scones, which is basically a biscuit. But I do have a special recipe.
Is it this one here?
It took me a while to recognize you, sorry.
Would you deep fry this one?
No. Okay, so these are British scones. These are British scones, not Western fried bread scones.
I'll do the scones.
Okay. So I have the recipe here. They're called hazelnut scones. It's basically a biscuit, But I bought the creamer for you, so it has that, you can see how versatile the recipe is. They'll still turn out even though you use different types of liquid or shortening fat. Don't use oil. That's the only one, don't go there. So who would like to do the ones with water? Okay, and the one with butter instead of shortening is over there. So I had 5. So one with water.
Or we can just use your
One with the
buttermilk.
buttermilk, one with evaporated milk, and scone and butter. So
When you're done, we have these little labels here.
Just in the nick of time.
So, I do too. And remember to only use half the recipe, or we're gonna.
yeah.
We're just gonna be eating a bazillion.
How are you?
Ever.
I run into Eric every once in a while.
I'll be over there in a minute.
That's very random.
But you know, when you can hear his voice, and I
You always know,
I
huh?
chased him down.